Hi, I'm Annie Durwood. I'm the Community and Relationships Manager at Wyrdren Games, and this is our YouTube channel. Today we're going to show you an interview with Creative Director and Founder of Wyrdren Games, Sally Sheppard. So let's just dive right in. So, Sally, what is your role at Wyrdren?
So as I said, I'm the creative director. I founded Wyrdren in 2020 during the pandemic, but I've also been doing, up until this January, basically everything else. So I was the developer, the artist, designer, everything, marketing. I wore many different hats because up until this January, I was doing this totally alone. So luckily I have Annie with me now, who's going to be taking a little bit of the weight off of my shoulders. She's doing a lot of community-based stuff, a lot of PR stuff, anything that's kind of front-facing she's doing, while I kind of continue to work on the game behind the scenes.
It's amazing. I can't believe it's just been you by yourself this whole time. Like, that's quite the feat to be a one-person studio for that long. And what made you start a games company in the first place?
So the pandemic hit. I'm sure everybody knows what that is by this point. Is probably sick of hearing about it. And I had just finished a contract as a concept artist, and we'd gone into lockdown. I wasn't sure when my next contract was going to come up. I don't think anybody was really sure how long lockdown was going to take. And I started working on Spellbound just kind of because I was locked in my house and I was home, and I thought, why not? And I kind of never really stopped. I just kind of kept going, and I thought making a studio was kind of the natural next step. I knew that I wanted to complete the game. I knew that I wanted to take it to conventions. I knew that I wanted to put it out on Steam. And to do that, you have to start a studio. And I knew that I wanted to create a team and start to bring people in eventually.
What is Spellbound, the magic within?
So Spellbound is a branching narrative, multiple ending visual novel style game. So it's 2D, it's very text based, but you have so many choices in it that I like to think of it as more of an adventure game or a mystery game. So you are a trainee magician who has come to the village of Wycherley to learn how to manage your powers with a family friend. I don't want to give too much about the game away, but I'm trying to think about what I can tell everybody. You get the choice to choose between 4 different tutors who all have like specializations. They all have different powers, and you learn about that through the first chapter. You take a test, you get sorted almost into your kind of magic school. And you can either pick to go with that, or you can pick your favorite tutor. Like, it's very open and optional. The thing that I think is really cool about this game is you can choose with the tutors to be platonic or friends or romantic. There's kind of like options there. You can choose like kind of which way your story is going to end, and depending on the choices you've made in the game depends on the type of ending you get. So not to be ominous,
But dun dun dun, something's gonna happen. What programs did you use to build the game?
So our main engine is Unity, Visual Studio. We actually use Fungus, which is the same program that the team at Night in the Woods used. It's this great open source kind of dialogue container. It's really cool, very, very nice, integrates with Unity really well. We heavily modded that. There's a couple of things that I wanted to add and kind of move around and do things with that it didn't have the functionality for, so that's kind of what I used there, but modded. For art, it's been Procreate. I do all my sketches in Procreate, and then I move them over into Photoshop so that I can make them more dynamic and add textures and things. And all of the buttons and kind of UI have been done in Illustrator to keep them vector. Yes, that's all the programs I've used. It seems really weird talking about them because it's like kind of 6 or 7 programs have made a game, and that always like blows my mind that, you know, these programs melded together make a video game.
I genuinely don't think there is such a thing as let's just make a game. There is no such thing as that.
No, there's so much that goes into it. I think with this game, what I tried to do is I knew I was going to be doing the heavy lifting predominantly on my own. So I decided to look at what type of game I could create with me as the developer. Now, my skills have mainly been art-based so far. Like, I was a concept artist in the industry before I did this. And so programming for me was definitely a secondary skill. It wasn't my main skill. So making sure that I could find something that I could learn as I went and kind of make something that fit inside my skill set was really important to me, but I still wanted something that was obviously engaging and fun to play, and I knew that I loved these types of games. I love narrative-driven games. I love multiple choice. I love multiple endings. So I wanted to create something that I would find really fun to play, but at the same time I could do to a good enough standard without it feeling rushed or unfinished.
Who has worked on the game?
I feel like we really just covered this because
Yeah,
it was
basically, yeah.
basically just me. So the areas where other people have worked on it are really only the music. So our music was done by David Glover, who has made our whole soundtrack for the game. He is an exceptionally talented musician who is working out of New Zealand right now. Yeah, really talented. We got so many comments at EGX about how many people loved the soundtrack. It's like very cozy vibes, chill, really, really fits with the story. I love it, and I have to listen to it over and over again while testing. And yeah, it's great. It's just been really fun to have, you know, this custom music for our game that nobody else has. I think the other people who have helped along this journey are all the people who've tested the game. So Annie was originally one of our testers. Donovan and Jasmine have also been a really huge help, so big shout out to them. And really everybody who's played the game at EGX, the feedback from that was great. And kind of all my friends and family who I've like unloaded this game onto and made them play hours upon hours of the same chapter just to double check that nothing's broken. So yeah, thank you to everybody who has supported along the way, because I've worked on it myself, but at the same time, you cannot do anything alone, and you should 100% be giving your game to other people to test, because you might know things in your head about what you want it to look like, but checking that that's how it's coming across is so important.
How have you found working during the pandemic, and do you think it changed how you work?
I have been very fortunate. So even though the pandemic hit and we went into a lockdown, I have my own office, I have my own space. I live with my partner and my 2 cats. You can maybe see one of them just here. This is Pandora. I live next to a park. I live with these big windows so I can see the sky. I think a lot of that has contributed to like me keeping going and coping. I think everybody who's worked in the last 2 years will tell you that it's been difficult and that it's been different.
Yes.
I don't think that's any kind of new information. I definitely think it's made not only me, but other people look at the way they work. I knew when I was setting up the company that I wanted to make sure that my whole team was going to have a good work-life balance. I think that's been pushed to the front of everybody's mind during the pandemic, because isolation is the worst. We know that. We know what it does to humans. We know that we're social creatures. I think the fact that our socialization has had to move to Zoom and Teams and even conversations like this can be difficult. I'm very, very excited for, you know, expanding the team and getting all together in a room, but I also think that's about the comfort level of everybody involved. I would never want to push anybody to be at an in-person meeting if they weren't ready, or, you know, if the numbers are crazy still. I think that's the thing. You have to think about how everybody's working, and we've had 2 years of living inside. You know, we're in the UK, we've been in multiple lockdowns. The numbers are crazy. I think it's about comfort level, because nobody is going to work or want to work productively or happily if they are uncomfortable or scared, or if there's anything kind of outside affecting them. It's why we have kind of the policy of like flexible working hours and, you know, making sure you're getting enough breaks, and we don't do crunch. I think all of that is like super important, especially in an indie where everybody is wearing multiple hats, doing multiple jobs at once. You know, we all pitch in where we can. I think making sure everybody has that mental headspace to take a break is so important.
It was one of the reasons why I was so excited to join Wyrdren, is just that I knew you and I share a lot of the same goals, mentalities. So of course we work together quite well. But those were also things that I was concerned about myself. And so the fact that that is always at the forefront of every conversation we have is really, it's setting the stage for a really great future, I believe. Why was it important to include characters of different ethnicities and backgrounds in Spellbound?
I think at this point it just makes sense to see diverse characters in games. I mean, the entire world is a melting pot of cultures and backgrounds, and Yeah, I think that's definitely been one of Wyrdren's like main driving forces, is to bring games that have inclusion and diversity at the forefront of their kind of design. With Spellbound, I wanted to make sure that we were bringing different magicians, because obviously you're learning from different tutors who have different schools of magic. I wanted to make sure that they had very kind of distinct backgrounds and ethnicities, because that is real life.
Yeah.
That is the stuff we bring forward with us, is all of our joint experiences. So the game itself is actually set in kind of what's supposed to mimic a charming kind of UK village. So, you know, when we look at the UK, I think there are these like beautiful different cultures. I was born here, but I moved to New Zealand and then I moved back. Annie is from America. I have so many friends from so many different places around the world who've ended up in England or in the UK.
What is one element of the game you are proud of?
I am super proud of the character creator. I want to keep expanding it. It's not quite finished yet, but when we took the game to EGX, the thing that we got the most comments on was the character creator and how many options there were. I am a big, like I said, D&D nerd, but I love things like Skyrim. I love fantasy games. I love games where you can spend almost like 2 to 3 hours just in the character creator before you even jump into the game.
Oh, sure.
And I wanted to make sure that we had something like that. So in the character creator, it's only a portrait. It's only the head kind of area. But even in that small little square section, we have multiple skin tones. We have different eye, nose, and lip shapes. We have different face shapes. You know, we have the more rounded, we have the squarer jaw. Even like those little details mean that when you piece it all together, when you add the hair and the accessories, you can really kind of get as close as possible to what you want to look like. And I felt like that was really, really important. I feel like the range of different accessories is really interesting. Again, I really want to add more. Like at the moment, we're adding in hearing aids and different birthmarks and different skin textures, because that was something that was suggested through TikTok. So I've been showing little clips and little snippets on TikTok, and that was something that the audience really wanted, was kind of more interesting and almost more, again, even more diverse than just the basic, like, hey, you can choose your skin tone and your eye color. It's like, okay, add more things. And especially thinking about almost like disabilities or kind of these skin textures or birthmarks, just making sure we add those in to be inclusive, because those things occur in real life. Why would they not be in these games? I think there's a lot of games pushing forward in that area. I think we are getting better at that, at understanding that, you know, we have a lot of different looking people and that we need to cater to that, because not everybody is this weird cookie cutter shape or whatever.
Absolutely.
And I think that's really exciting to see. So I do think that's like a really good thing going forward. And if we, a really tiny indie company, can do it, then the big guys can definitely do it.
Absolutely. So, last question. What are you currently working on with the game?
So currently I'm writing. I'm writing so much at the minute. So the way the story is set up is in chapters, and I'm just going through and editing. So obviously it's branching narrative. So as you make choices, you'll go down different pathways. Right now I'm just double checking that all of the narrative flow kind of makes sense, that if you choose a certain pathway, you're not kind of thrown around in the story or missing details. So it's really just going through and editing right now and writing like new segments to make sure that things make sense. That's kind of where I'm at.
That's quite intense, but very, very impressive that you're doing this basically on your own.
You're gonna make me blush. I'm just really excited for it to come out, because I'm really excited for people to be able to play it.
Absolutely.
We took it to EGX, we took a demo version, which was basically a version of the first chapter, and we got such great feedback and we got such great reception from players. And I just, like, I can't wait to get it into people's hands on people's PCs and have them play it and experience it, because yeah, it's been a year and a half so far of my life, but it's been so worth it and so rewarding. And the feedback we've gotten already has been amazing on TikTok, at EGX. All of that has really contributed to like pushing me forward and trying to make this the best game I can make it.
Thank you so much for watching. We really hope you enjoyed this video. Most of the content you saw today was pulled from questions and comments you asked us on social media, so please keep asking questions. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, keep playing and keep staying weird.